everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lucia, and before I start the video, I just want to say thank you so much for 50 subscribers. At least right now that I'm like filming this video, it's at 50. I don't know if it's gonna be less by the time this is posted. Hopefully it's gonna be a little more. I don't know, but I just want to say I'm thankful for it. I know in like the grand scheme of things that may not seem like a lot, but I'm a little proud of it. And then also on my TikTok, I reached 2,000 followers, which that I'm very excited about because I've had this account, I think also for a year. And like, I think now I'm like really starting to try and like take it seriously and all that. So, and I'm just like in a better headspace for all of this. And like, I love doing this. I love making videos. I love creating content. I love talking with you guys. Like the amount of DMs I get where people just want to talk about like my favorite book series. I absolutely love it because I love my little book community. It's literally the best thing ever. Anyways, if you read the title of the video, I'm going to be doing like a Spotify rap theme, but for books. And instead of like, I know Goodreads has like a book wrapped, but honestly, I don't really, I mean, not that I don't like it, like I'm gonna read you my Goodreads book wrapped, but I also decided to put all the books that I read this year, which I think, okay, the time I'm filming this video, this is at 46 books that I've read, and I'm currently reading Nothing Like the Movies, which is so good. We'll talk about that another time. But I'm currently reading Nothing Like the Movies, but at the time where I put all the books into the ChatGPT filter, I think I was at 45 books, and I was like, the current read for me was Wild Eyes. So it's not too up to date, but it's still pretty like recent. With Goodreads, I know Goodreads is definitely going to be accurate because it has all the book reviews, all like the summaries of the books, all of that. So for the ChatGPT, I literally just put in the 45 books that I read at the time and my current read, and then it like divided it all into like subcategories and like big categories, subcategories. And honestly, do have to say it is pretty accurate. Like it did pretty good for it. I don't think it like registered all the summaries of the books or anything because I didn't write any summaries. So if it got any summaries, it would have to pick it off the internet. But there is one category that I was like, that is completely wrong. So you guys will definitely see that. I'm gonna pull up my Goodreads book wraps first because that's gonna be a little more accurate, and then we can compare it to the ChatGPT one. My Goodreads wrap was pretty short. It was just 2024, my year in books, 19,997 pages read. So, well, and that's so far. That's with just 45 books read. That's when like this all came out. It says 45 books read. Right now I'm at 46 books read and currently reading my 47th. My shortest book that I read was Conclave, which is actually, should be like, I'm not sure if you guys can see it. The Devil's Night series is right here because I haven't found a place for it on my bookshelf yet. Conclave was one of the novellas in the story, and then my longest book was Redeeming Six with 1,066 pages. So, which, one of my favorite books of all time, one of my favorite series of all time. And then my average book length in 2024 was 444 pages. And then the most shelved book that I read was the Shatter Me series, and the least Shatter Me series, and then the least shelved was Wildest Dreams, and that's by Sapphire Hale. I don't know if she's really like a known author yet, but I've read a couple of her books. And then my average rating for 2024 was a 4.2. I definitely was feeling very generous this year with my ratings because like I looked back on all of them and I'm like, okay, not that actually no, I feel like I did have a pretty good reading year. Like I did read a lot of good books. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, at the time you read the book, it's like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing I ever read. And then now you look back on it and it's like, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was. Like, I don't know, but I don't think I would take back any of my ratings. Not that I can think of right now. Highest rated on Goodreads, the highest book that I read that was rated on Goodreads was Redeeming Six, and that is at a 4.62. That was my Goodreads reading wrap. It wasn't really, you see, it doesn't have like a lot of categories. I don't know if there was a way I could get more. There was, I just didn't see it. But now we're gonna go to my AI one. So when I did this, I thought I did it at 45 books. No, this was at 43. So I've read 3 more books since then. So it just started with the heading, total books read 43 and counting. You've made an impressive commitment to reading this year, and it shows the variety and volume of your list. My most memorable reads, now I didn't put my ratings, I didn't put how, like, any summaries of the book, I didn't put my favorite characters, I didn't put anything. Literally just book titles and if I reread the series. So this is all what AI came up with on its own. Maybe I could have put in like a little summary or like rated them, but honestly I just wanted to see what it would come up with. So most memorable reads is like the big category, and then the subcategory is series you couldn't put down. The first series, it was the Shatter Me series. Now for this series, it was very like wishy-washy for me. I did like it. I just felt like I would have liked it a lot more when I was in my very like dystopian era. Like when I was in middle school, I was obsessed with Divergent, Hunger Games. There's like a bunch of other series. Delirium. I don't know if anybody's ever read that, but that series I loved. I think there was a movie on it too. There's another, I think it was called like Crossed. That was another series. Like I read a bunch of like dystopian like series. So, not that the series was bad, I just think I would have like absolutely fangirled over Shatter Me when I was younger, a little more. I didn't read all of the novellas, I only read one. I just like, it wasn't a series that I was so into. I just felt like I wanted to read it because I know like basically everyone has read it at this point. I do understand the hype of Aaron Warner. I think it was like, I loved the characters. Kenji was so funny. It was a good book series. I'm not gonna like discredit it. It was a good book series. It's just where I'm at and like what I've been reading. It wasn't like so groundbreaking for me, but I do have to say I liked the first book, and then but I really liked the last 2 books were my favorite in the series. But yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about reading the Shatter Me series, I definitely recommend it. But at the end of the day, I feel like it did slow down my progression in reading this year. Like I wasn't really flying through the books like I usually do. But at the end of the day, make your own opinions on the book. This is still a good book series. If you're very into dystopian, I highly recommend this book series. But yeah, so that's Shatter Me. The next series that says is the Devil's Night series. Now, this is another series where I have seen it on TikTok for so many years, and I always like try to convince myself to buy it, and I just never got around to it. And this is like my first, besides like Wattpad and like episode, this is like my first like taste of dark romance books. But I don't think it's like really that dark romance. It kind of is, kind of not. I really like this series. What was kind of weird is when I read this book, I was into it. I wasn't so into it, but as soon as I started to read the rest of the series, I got like so into the series. Got really into the books and the storyline, and I think I appreciated Corrupt a lot more after I read all the other books. Like at the time when I was reading it, like I wasn't so like invigorated in it, like wasn't dying to pick it up. Then like when I got around to reading all the other books, I kind of felt nostalgic in a way for the series. But yeah, it was another good series I read. I wouldn't say it was like the best series I've read this year, but it definitely got like dipped my toes in the water for dark romance, and definitely in 2025 you will definitely see me go into my dark romance era. I try to go more into like romantasy this year, but I didn't get very far. But I'm definitely going to go more into dark romance because of this book series. The next book series is very accurate. It says the Boys of Tolman series. Now this series, if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I absolutely love this series. Like, it is right up there with the Addicted/Calloway Sister series for me. I absolutely fell in love with this series this year. With Boys of Tolman, like before I picked it up, I saw it on TikTok like a few times a year, but I just heard like it was like very heartbreaking, but a lot of people didn't buy the books because they were like so expensive, because there weren't like the US editions, there weren't like so many different editions with it. And as you know, if you are in the US and you started reading the series this year, you know we had to wait for the re-release of these books, and like getting them was like any other way was almost impossible unless you got them from like the UK, which I still really want the UK version. So when I'm ready to reread this series, which is literally all the time, but when I'm fully ready to reread the series, I think I'm gonna go get the UK versions. I'm gonna say this is definitely the top book series I've read in 2024. I think about this series all the time. I always post about it, and so many people have reached out to me to talk about this series. One girl in particular, when I first started, I don't know if she wants me to say her name. When I first started the series, she reached out to me on TikTok, and we talk like pretty frequent about the books. Like anytime there's like a little update on the book series, we text each other. And I remember like when I think I was on like Binding 13 or Keeping 13, and I texted her and I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like I am just so obsessed with the series. Like I think about it 24/7. I'm going up and down the aisles at work, and like every song reminds me of them. Like I can't get the series out of my head. And she already finished the series up until Taming 7, because Taming 7 wasn't out, and she's like, literally, like I feel the exact same way, and it's been months since I've like read the series. And I'm like, okay, so you're definitely gonna live rent-free in my brain, and the series 100% does. If there's anything you're planning to do in 2025, I would say definitely read this series. Like, join the club. It is such a good book series. Like, I cannot put into words how like beautifully it's written, like how heartbreaking it is. It's so great. So 100% recommend this book series. And then the last book series that was in my most memorable reads category was the Windy City series. This series I fell in love with like a little bit more and more as I went on in the series. I did like Mile High, but it wasn't my favorite in the series. I feel like with a lot of books, like either the first book is like so amazing, or it's just kind of like a kickstart for like the rest of like the amazing books in the series. While this book wasn't bad, I do have to say my favorites were the second, which is called The Right Move, and the third, which was Caught Up. And there's also a fourth book, Play Along, and then there's another book that's going to be coming out, I'm pretty sure in 2025. Don't quote me on that. But I really did love this series. I'm pretty sure if like you turn it sideways with the other books, it shows like the rest of like the city, like the art of it. Yeah, I really like this series. I got through these books pretty quick. Yeah, it was just like good reads like all around with this series. Like literally no complaints. The Right Move and Caught Up, absolutely favorite favorite books in the series. Caught Up is single dad nanny trope, and what I did realize is that I did read a lot of single dad nanny trope, or like just single dad tropes, but I feel like a lot of authors, or like the authors I usually read, they all came out with that trope this year. So that was just like, I feel like that was my top trope, like book trope that I read this year, was single dad romances. Definitely recommend if you want to go into 2025 with a really good sports romance. And the books are also just really funny too. So if you want to go in to 2025 with that energy, highly recommend the series. So the next subcategory in my most memorable reads is single book favorites. Now, for starters, it says Hopeless by Elsie Silver. And like, I know, if you guys know me and have watched my videos or even my TikToks, you know I like religiously like mispronounce Elsie Silver's name, and I always say Elise Silver, but I'm getting better now. Like, I'm finally recognizing what I'm saying. Anyways, Hopeless is a part of the Chestnut Springs series. I think hands down my favorite small town country romance series. My favorite books in the series are the first one, which is Flawless, second one, which is Heartless, and then it's Reckless, but I think Reckless is the fourth book. Reckless is either the third or fourth book, but definitely my favorite, definitely my favorite country romance series. Elsie Silver has never let me down with her books, so it's not a surprise when like I rate all her books very highly. Hopeless, I had a lot of high hopes for it. It was my first, I'm pretty sure it was my first read of 2024. It wasn't bad at all. Like, I really liked the story. I didn't fall in love with it as much as I fell in love with the other books in the series that I just named, but it was still a very good book. I really liked the story. I think it was like a very good way to kind of close the Chestnut Springs series. But yeah, I mean, no complaints on it. Would I say that this is one of my favorites of 2024, like my single book favorites? I wouldn't say that, but I also wouldn't say this was a bad book. I just wouldn't say it was like my favorite single read book of this year. The next one that I list is The Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune, and I just got a bunch of sand poured on me because I religiously read this book at the beach. Honestly, this was such a good summer book. Every summer for like the past 3 summers, Carly Fortune has come out with a summer book. The books that she's written are Every Summer After, which was my favorite summer book for so long, except there's just like one trope in there I just like absolutely hate, and it makes me so sad because like it is one of my favorite books, like summer books, or actually I'm gonna say books like of all time. It just, that one trope, I'm just like, like you really had to do that, but obviously everything's the author's choice. It's their world, like it's their story, it's their mind, whatever they see fit, I will appreciate. And then this book, I do have to say, this book kind of redeemed Carly Fortune for me, because while I loved Every Summer After, her second book, Meet Me by the Lake or At the Lake, I didn't fall in love with. Like, it was very hard for me to get through. This Summer Will Be Different. So good. Like, such a good way to start off my summer books. Like, I highly recommend if you want to read this during the year, 100%, to get like a taste of summer. But if you really want to kickstart your summer this year, in like 2025, I highly recommend reading this. So I would say it definitely was like a single favorite this year. I mean, in my opinion, besides Boys of Toman, because I can't keep talking about it, but besides the Boys of Toman books, I'm gonna say my single favorite book was Powerless by Lauren Roberts. 5-star read, automatically. I went through that book so quick. Like, I was in a 7-hour car ride and I almost finished that book. I think it took me like 2 or 3 days. I absolutely loved Powerless. I loved the second book, Reckless, and in 2025, in April, Fearless is going to be coming out, so I'm super excited. The next category is authors you love this year, and I'm just going to list the authors. So it's Elle Kennedy, Elsie Silver, and Lauren Asher. I do have to say, Elsie Silver and Lauren Asher are pretty much like my go-to authors. Like, I feel like they're always coming out with a new book. Lauren Asher just came out with My Darling December. I'm pretty sure. I always mix it up. I always want to say My December Darling, but it's My Darling December, right? Oh, it's My December Darling. Yeah, okay. It's My December Darling. It's like a little Christmas novella. I absolutely love that book. It was so good. And it was like, I'm not really a person who is going to read holiday themed books. It's just not really my cup of tea, because I feel like I always end up not being able to read them around the time of the holiday. So just kind of like I'm just not in the mood. This one I finally read in December because I felt like I had like the whole month to read it, since December was literally in the title. And so good. Highly recommend to read it anytime this year or for next December, because it was such a good book. And Luke Darling, which is the main male character and like the main love interest in the book, definitely a top book boyfriend. Like, mark my words, top book boyfriend. Elsie Silver, she always hits with her books. I recently read, I think we did this year, I also read Wild Love. I think I read Wild Love and Wild Eyes this year. For some reason I'm thinking Wild Love was 2023, but no, I'm pretty sure that was 2024. And those are like her 2 new releases. So good. Like, I can always just count on her for a good, feel-good, small town country romance, but like the stories just like have like depth to them. Like, it's not always the same. Like, it's just, I always fall in love with the characters. I always fall in love with the universes. So I definitely say she was a top author. For Elle Kennedy, I mean, I reread the Off Campus series this year, because I finally got like the new book covers, which 14-year-old me, or like 12-year-old me, however old I was, is screaming right now, because if you've watched one of my recent TikToks with like the Muppet sliding trend, it's where I got into kind of a pickle when trying to read her book series, so go check out my TikTok for that. But yeah, I reread her series, the Off-Campus series. Soon I'm probably gonna reread the Briar U series because now they have the new book covers. But I mean, I wouldn't really say she was like one of my top authors this year. I mean, I guess because I reread her book, that's why AI put her there. Not that she's a bad author. I also read The Grimm Effect too. So I did read a good amount of her books this year, so I guess that's why it's up there. But Elsie Silver and Lauren Asher are very accurate. The next big category is emotional roller coasters. Now this category, kind of accurate, kind of not. I'm going to explain it. So the first subcategory is books that made you cry, and it's Powerless and Reckless by Lauren Roberts. So I have a Powerless right here, my 5-star baby of the year. I absolutely love this book and I cannot wait for the third book to come out. I also loved the second book. I would say yes, it made me cry because of one, like if you read this book, you know which part made me cry. So yes, I would definitely say that I probably cried over the Boys of Tolman series a lot more. But yes, this book I think definitely made me cry, if I can remember. Yeah, it did. I feel like I would have cried a little bit more for this book if I read the novella or like the little short story in between. And that it's called Powerful and it's about a side character. And I feel like if I read that, I would have cried. I do have that book. I just really can't bring myself to read it. I'm not gonna lie. So it definitely has the potential to make me cry more. So honestly, AI was kind of accurate for this one, I'm not gonna lie. So yes, and I highly recommend reading this book in 2025. Then the next subcategory is books that made you laugh, and it's the Windy City series. I do have to say, like I said before, this book is very, well, the series is very funny, and the characters are just, they just have such good banter with each other. Sorry, my dog's walking. The characters just have like such good banter with each other, so I do agree that this book did, that these books did make me laugh. But one book in particular that sticks out of my mind that's not in the series, but it's written by Elsie Silver, and it's Wild Love. That book literally made me LOL, laugh out loud. Like one of the characters' name is Cora. She just had like the best one-liners. Like it was genuinely such a funny book. All the characters were funny in that book, but that like specific character Cora, she was just so funny. Like I had such a good laugh. Like that was like the best laugh I had from a book in such a long time. So if you want like a really good laugh, and a good story, I would definitely recommend reading Wild Love by Elsie Silver. Then the next subcategory is books that made you think, and it says This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. And I do have to say, because it says with its themes of self-discovery, I do have to say, yeah, this book definitely made me think a little bit. It made me, I mean, I always get very in my feels before summer starts, like romanticizing and to be like, okay, you know, the summer will be very good, and you know what, the summer will be different, and you know what, this summer was different. It was such a good summer. I went on so many trips, I hung out with so many people, like it was genuinely such a good summer. So I cannot complain, because like I was actually looking back at all the photos from this past summer, and I'm like, I actually had such a good time. Like it was such a good summer. So I do have to agree with AI on this one, that this book definitely made me think. And maybe it was the reason why I had such a good summer. So if you want to have an even better summer in 2025, read a Carly Fortune book. Period. Next category is favorite themes, and it's sports romance from Elle Kennedy and Liz Tomford, small town love, which yeah, we all know I love my small town romances, and then suspenseful dark romance, because I did dabble in dark romance, and angsty YA dystopia. Has to be from the Shatter Me series, so that's like pretty accurate. That's where I dabbled. I do wish I was gonna like ask it to do a book trope section, but I feel like it would have kind of got a little messed up at that point. So, but yeah, sports romance, small town love, suspenseful dark romance, angsty YA dystopia, pretty accurate. My reading superpowers, you finished, that's like another big category, my reading superpowers, and it's you finished multiple full series, an impressive feat for any reader, and that's just because I'm too stubborn to ever DNF a book. Like if I pick up a book, I'm finishing it. The only thing where I'm gonna say I gave up a little bit is with the Shatter Me series. I only read one of the novellas. I didn't read the rest of them in the story, so I do have to say that. You revisited old beloved favorites off campus, showing your love for comfort reads. Yeah, I'm not a big rereader. Like, I think about rereading certain books all the time. Like, I'm really teetering on the edge of reading the Addicted / Calloway Sister series again, just to feel something. But I'm honestly not that big of a rereader. Like, the only reason I reread the off-campus series was because I finally got like the physical copies, and also they're coming out with a show, so I'm kind of nervous, kind of excited for that. And then yeah, the only other books that like I've ever reread multiple times was the Selection series. And then also you explored a mix of emotional and lighthearted books, proving your reading versatility. I mean, I do have to say, like, I did dabble in like different like genres this year, but 2025 is really where I want to go more into fantasy and more into dark romance and try to not read like the same thing over and over again. So that's my goal for 2024 and 2025. Yeah. According to AI, my bookish moment of the year is rereading the off-campus series. Sometimes nothing beats revisiting old friends and remembering why you fell in love with reading in the first place. Yes, I do have to say, I guess that is a bookish moment of the year, but personally, I have to say, I think my bookish moment of the year is really trying to take this seriously and really trying to take my TikTok seriously. And so many of you reach out to me and talk to me about like favorite book series, like giving me book recs. I love hearing all your thoughts. I love reading all of your recommendations. Like, Powerless was recommended to me when I made a TikTok about like needing a very good like enemies to lovers book, and this book did the trick. So I love like having like a little book community, and I can't wait to continue growing it in 2025. But yeah, that's like personally that's like my bookish moment of the year. Now the last the last category that I added to AI was best MMCs, so best male main characters. This was just for me to see what AI would come up with, and it definitely came up with something. The first one is Ronan Fitzpatrick from Boys of Tolman series. Ronan is quintessential brooding yet lovable Irish bad boy. His complexity and depth make him impossible to forget. When I read the name, I did forget. I did not know who AI got that from. Like, I don't know who that was. And then I was thinking about the books, and I'm like, there is a character named Ronan in, like, Binding and Keeping 13, and he kind of, like, pops up randomly, and, like, everyone hates him, and he's really, really annoying. So I wouldn't call him the best MMC because he wasn't even close to being MMC, because Johnny Kavanaugh literally stepped on him and was like, bug on my shoe, bye. I'm like, I'm your daddy on the field, bitch. Johnny Kavanaugh, 2005. I'm pretty sure that's when he said that, or not, I don't know. That's also the year I was born. I don't think Fitzpatrick is even his last name. Like, if you've read the series, I think you kind of know who I'm talking about. Like, he kind of bullied the main character, Shannon, but like not really bullied because he wasn't that threatening. So I don't know where AI got that. I don't even know if Fitzpatrick is his last name. Yeah. Next book, like MMC, it says Silas from Powerless. Silas stands out with his unwavering loyalty, deeply emotional arc, leaving readers swooning. I have no idea who Silas is. If they put Kai Azar as the MMC, I would have been like, yes. I don't know who Silas is. I keep on racking my brain for it. Cannot even think of a character named Silas in that book. So, if you know who AI is talking about, let me know. I have no idea who AI is talking about. The next one, which is pretty accurate, it's Kai Mori from the Devil's Night series. Dark, enigmatic, and magnetic, Kai's layered personality makes him one of the most intriguing MMCs. I do have to say, I wouldn't say he's one of my top book boyfriends of 2024, but in his series, I would say him and Will are the best. I mean, I think my favorite is Will Grayson III. I do have to say, but Kai Mori is definitely up there. And the next one is Hale Wheeler from Wild Love. Hale's protective yet vulnerable nature embodies the perfect small-town romance hero. Again, I have no idea who AI is talking about. If he was talking about Ford Grant, which is the actual MMC in that book, I'd be like, okay, yeah. Or even Weston Belmont, which is the MMC for Wild Eyes. I'd be like, okay, yes. But Hale Wheeler, I have no idea who you are. So I can't really back up on that. If you guys have read the series recently or read Wild Love recently and know who that is, please let me know, because I honestly don't know where AI got that from. I do have to say, the last one on this list was so close to being accurate, except for a little detail. So it says Ryan Shea. Now Ryan Shea is from the Windy City series, and he's from the second book in the series, in the called The Right Move. And I do have to say, he is a pretty good book boyfriend. The only thing is, here it says he's from The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. No, because the MMC in The Graham Effect, I'm pretty sure his name is Luke Ryder. Not Ryan Shea, because Ryan Shea belongs to the Windy City series, so AI got its book, sports romance, mixed up. We all make mistakes, but it says, charming, ambitious, and full of banter, Ryan is the epitome of a sports romance MMC. I don't disagree, except he's in the wrong book series. Like, he's Windy City, he is not The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy, but that is the last category I had for AI. And I was gonna do best FMCs, but seeing how AI pulled up this, I was just like, I don't think I could take that. I mean, I'm gonna say overall, AI did a pretty good job, but it really just lost me on the best male main characters, because like 90% of these people I do not recognize. I do have to say, not in any particular order, but Johnny Kavanaugh, Joey Lynch, Gerard Gibson, Kai Azar, Luke Darling, and Aaron Warner were the top book boyfriends of 2024 for me. They definitely made it, a few of them made it onto my overall top book boyfriends. So that's my book wrapped from Goodreads, from ChatGPT, and then from me personally. It was such a good year filled with reading, book content, book recs, book boyfriends, book tropes. Everything. 2024 was just such a good year for reading, definitely memorable. I was introduced to so many series that I absolutely love and adore. So if you haven't read any of these series yet, I definitely recommend bringing them into 2025. I'm so excited to explore new genres, and I'm really excited to see all the book recs you guys send me. I'm excited to post some more. I'm excited just to do so many things, creating this book community and just growing it. So thank you guys for supporting me, and I cannot wait for 2025. So cheers to a year full of books, and yeah, bye!